All right, let's talk about Nate Wiggins, the first round selection by the Baltimore Ravens, who, I mean, let's just be honest, the second the Ravens drafted a corner in the first round, we're all saying, okay, well, that guy's surely to be a Hall of Famer. He looked like, I don't want to say he looked like a Hall of Famer, but he looked really good out there in his first game with the Baltimore Ravens in the preseason. So I wanted to talk about it. I'm actually going to start off with what you could consider a negative. I saw some people online considering this a negative, but I'm not so sure. Again, part of this is it's one of those plays where we're not in the huddle. We don't know exactly how the Ravens do things, so it's totally possible that this was a fault of his or wasn't a fault of his, depending on how exactly the Ravens want things to be done. But regardless, the way this play is going to work is it is a man coverage concept, and you see where he is. He's going to be the one who I've circled in white right there. The halfback is running that route, the one you see on the screen, and this is not the guy Nate Wiggins is supposed to cover, right? So why am I bringing it up? Well, because it's important for the play as a whole. So when this play begins, the Eagles quarterback is going to look in that direction because you see 51 for Baltimore is just having a hard time getting over there. There's a lot of traffic. I think a lot of teams would want to pull off a switch right here. I don't see anyone calling for it. Maybe that's what they want to do. So again, you could put blame on whoever you want, really. That is where Wiggins is, and the guy who Wiggins is supposed to cover is just blocking here, so he's essentially he becomes like a safety essentially here. Just cover whoever you want to cover, whoever you think you should cover, and you can kind of see why he might be more wanting to cover the guy more over the middle. That's where he's looking. However, this throw instead goes out to the flat. Wiggins isn't there, and the touchdown is scored. And let's just be honest, anytime there's a touchdown, people always blame the closest defender, even if it wasn't their fault. It was really a good scheme by Philadelphia. I think you would have liked to see Wiggins get over there and read that play, but I certainly don't look at that as like a bad play, that like it was his fault, it didn't work out. No, he just wasn't able to save the day, essentially. I think, again, I'm not in the huddle, I can't say for certain. But other than that, I'm going to be honest, Wiggins looked really good out there. Like heading over to something like this, it's going to be a man coverage concept, and it's a one-on-one matchup, and you see where he is on the screen. So, okay, that's the way this play is designed to work. And that is the way that for Philadelphia, the play is designed to work for them, is they're going to have the receiver who's lined up with Wiggins run a deep shot, and then they're going to just hit another receiver more underneath. So, hopefully the deep shot just takes Wiggins out of the play, and that'll be the end of it. But I'm sure you've already guessed that if I'm bringing up this play, something different is going to happen. Well, when this play begins, quickly pull off this sort of screen pass type play, and you see for Wiggins, he's doing a really good job of looking back and being aware of his surroundings. I think a lot of, especially young players, would struggle to be able to realize something like this is going on. One thing that can often help, this is kind of a little meta, but a lot of times what can help is crowd noise. The crowd makes a noise and reacts to a pass, and sometimes as a player, you can pay attention to that. It also helps for Wiggins. He's so fast, he can kind of get away with looking away from the player he's covering for a second, because he doesn't have to put all of his resources towards keeping up, because it's easier for him to keep up because he's fast. But also watch how Nate Wiggins here is going to rush in, and he makes the tackle as well. So that's just really good stuff by Wiggins all around, being able to read it and being able to go over and make the play. But okay, tackling is cool. Let's be honest. It's a corner. We want to see how well they cover. Well, then let's go over here. This is a 1st and 15, and you see the route on the screen. That's the route that Wiggins is going to be covering here, and it's a difficult route, right? I mean, it's a complete isolated situation. The receiver can run deep, fool Wiggins into thinking that it's going to be a deep shot. So then when he cuts back, Wiggins' momentum will take him too far. You get the completion. We've seen it a million times. So when this play begins, you're going to see how, again, quarterback makes the throw in that direction. But first, you see how Wiggins is really hanging right there with him, right? Which, again, it all goes back to speed, right? He doesn't have to be so concerned about getting burned deep, so he just isn't running as fast as he physically can when he's going down the field, so it's easier for him to cut back. However, this play is not over by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, a good throw and a good catch, you would assume, would still lead to a completion. However, watch Wiggins fight back. He's able to knock that ball away. That is just great stuff through and through from Nate Wiggins. I mean, it doesn't get a ton better than that. It really doesn't. Also, something like this is interesting to me. I think there's a nitpick here, but also a lot of good stuff here. It's going to be a man coverage play once again, but this time there's no fake. It's just going deep. So, okay, let's see how Wiggins can handle something like this. Again, another high-stress play. Well, when this play begins, you see how Wiggins is hanging with that receiver. Is there a window for this throw to be made? There's no separation. Now, could this still potentially be a completion? Well, you see here, Wiggins doesn't really get his head turned around on that one. It didn't matter. He was still able to, play it nicely and, doesn't create enough contact for a flag or anything like that. Good stuff to kind of take it away. You do have to wonder, though, if that throw was over Wiggins' head, could it have been a completion right there? Certainly possible, but it still is good that he's hanging with him, and at the end of the day, it would have still taken a perfect throw and perfect catch for that to be a completion, so you're not that concerned about it. So, okay, let's go over here then. If his footwork is good enough that he can come back on curl routes and his speed is good enough that he can cover deep shots, well, what can you do to try and beat him? Well, maybe something like this, where the route is on Wiggins' inside of the field. You're going to kind of cut towards the sideline. Try to see if you can use some lateral movement to beat him and maybe try to fool him a little bit. Fake as though you're going one way and go somewhere else. Well, as you see, when this play begins, it is off screen for a second. When we come back here, again, there is just no separation. Wiggins is just not giving up much of anything. And what's great about Wiggins, too, is he isn't just a fast guy. You see fast corners fail all the time at the NFL level because all they are is fast. You still need other attributes. Speed is a huge positive attribute, but you need other stuff, and he has the other stuff. Watch him knock that ball away. I mean, really, when it comes to first-round rookies, I mean, the tape you see with Wiggins was maybe as good as anybody's in preseason. I mean, that's just fantastic. It is just preseason, but it's really nice to see if you're a Ravens fan. So yeah, I mean, listen, as a whole, I thought Wiggins played well in this game. I thought he played really well. I thought that a lot of what he was doing is stuff that just you can't help but think, yeah, that's going to play at the NFL level. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say like, it was 100% perfect, but honestly, it was pretty close. I really didn't have too many critiques throughout, and I did think that he showed me things that, like, I'm just like, yeah, this feels like it's going to work at the next level. Again, there are going to be some tougher tests down the road. This is still just the preseason. He wasn't going up against starters, so we'll see. Like I said, there was a couple plays you could look at and say, well, if you have a great quarterback and a great receiver, is that going to play? It works here, which is still, I mean, one thing I always bring up is NFL backups are, would be superstars. We're superstars in college. These are college all-stars, essentially, that, just aren't quite good enough to be starters at the NFL level. So for someone like Wiggins, being able to still hold your own against good talent is, it's one step closer to just being good in an NFL regular season game. But it isn't that. It is still just preseason, and you do have to factor all that in. But honestly, I thought that his performance was really good, and I was very impressed with him when I went and watched the tape. So those are kind of my thoughts on Nate Wiggins. I should mention, if you like movies, I have a movie channel now. Check that out if it seems like your kind of thing. I have some fun stuff on there. So yeah, it's Jackson Kruger Movies. I have like a Stanley Kubrick tier list, some fun things like that, some movie reviews, some general topics. So yeah. That seems like your kind of thing. Again, link is in the description below, Jackson Kruger Movies. But those are my thoughts on Nate Wiggins and his performance in his first NFL game. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.